School is back in session at Bellevue West. It's the first year since 2020 without masks, but the students are not yet free of the effects of the pandemic. The Thunderbeat has sat down with school principal Kevin Rolfs, senior Nevaeh Seward, and teacher Callie McVeigh to discuss their thoughts and experiences with the pandemic and its effects on students.
It was really very individual. If you were a very driven, self-motivated student, you probably did okay at home. That's a very hard expectation for any teenager to be so focused that I'm going to keep up my studies, but there were some. So it was possible to be successful at home. It was also possible to not do very much at home, which then brought you back a year later, behind where you needed to be. We did see in the 2020, when we closed fourth quarter, we did see a much slower start to the 2021 school year because we lost that quarter, especially in places like math where everything builds. We had to really slow down and kind of repeat some of fourth quarter to prepare them for the first quarter. So that was a tough year to try and do what we needed to do from the past and be able to keep up with where we needed to be this year. So we did see a little bit of a downward trend in some of our math scores, especially.
And then throughout quarantine, I had to teach myself an entire unit of geometry, and so I was handling schoolwork, making sure that all my grades were acceptable and they were good. And then going back with sophomore year, I was kind of I didn't know if we were actually going to get to go back sophomore year, so it was kind of crazy. But then going with the mask mandate, it sucked, especially with the stairs, just not being able to breathe in general. It wasn't fun, but I'm just glad that we got to be back in person in one way or another.
There's still a little bit of a lag, and I think our society is just in that lag. And it's almost like a time before COVID and a time after COVID, and still making some changes. But yeah, I do think that sometimes there's still that habit of not participating or engaging, even because now you can, but we're used to not. So I think that's still a little bit there.
I think overall the pandemic is looked on negatively because it wasn't a good thing, but I think in the end it really just brought us together as a community, realizing how much we valued each other's company and hanging out with our friends.